myself.
Before this video starts, I would like to say I do not promote or otherwise encourage any kind of harassment or bullying to anyone who has played, bought, or otherwise associated with Hogwarts Legacy. I will get into that more in time, but I wanted to make that statement right off the bat. If you harass, attack, or dox someone who's played or bought the game, you are no fan of mine. It is never okay to harass. It's okay to be disappointed, but not harass. Let's move on to the video. Trigger warning, this video holds topics of transphobia, suicide, and the funny wizard game. Hello everyone, welcome to The Darkness, and I am DarknessStone. Today we're talking about J.K. Rowling and Hogwarts Legacy. I will also make this clear from the get-go. I am only an ally, I am not a trans person. So if you think my opinion doesn't matter because of this scenario, thank you for at least trying the video out. Now to the other people who have stayed, thank you, and let us begin talking. Now, the funny wizard game. People have been really divisive on this game. Some people think it's the funny wizard game, while other people think it's the most evil thing known to man, while some are somewhere in the middle. Me myself, I am near the middle. And that's because of one thing. I believe that every situation is nuanced. I believe that there is a side to every story and there is a person on the other side of each computer screen. I would like to begin with covering J.K. Rowling, as someone who was not aware of J.K. Rowling's transphobic beliefs until a few months ago. JKR is a 57-year-old author who wrote the Harry Potter books, a world of wizardry and now a multi-million-dollar franchise. So much so that it has a ride at Universal Studios in California. And JK has been well liked for years, from her books being written to and movies being made. Until December 2019, where she stood in support of Maya, a woman who almost lost her job for transphobic remarks. Then in June of 2020, she started making transphobic tweets, specifically this one.
Hello, it is I, Azof101. Having to voice a motherfucking turf. I'm gonna totally have fun with this one, I say. In a quiet ass room. Actually, wait, is my door closed? People who menstruate? I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Womben? Wimpinen? Womad? Opinion, creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate.
She then tweeted later that day saying this.
If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. Woman transsexual is in fact a concept. Have you heard of it? The idea that women like me, who have been empathetic to trans people for decades, that's a fucking lie, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. Is a nonsense. This woman has written award-winning books. How the fuck? I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'm much with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. Yes, but apparently you go off and keep supporting people who actively want to take away trans rights. Oh, I stand by trans people. Now let me go off and support the people who, in this case, actively tried to kill trans people as like a form of genocide, essentially.
The term "it isn't hate to speak the truth" is a common phrase used by transphobes who think that trans women are not women, so that did not help her case on that front. For a while, a lot of her transphobia could have been held together with plausible deniability, where she could just say that she was uneducated or she was just being an older person with no real understanding of the modern day world. That was until she started stating it as part of her identity. She started campaigning as a TERF, or a trans exclusionary radical feminist, by making a sex abuse hotline for women but excluding trans women as callers or workers in the center. Not only that, there was another center in the exact same area that ended up getting bullied out of operation because of the constant transphobia that they faced because of her movement to replace said shelter. JK Shelter, named Britta's Place, claims to be a women's only service, and because of Section 212 of the Equality Act of 2010 permits the provision of single-sex services and a single-sex staffing policy in various situations where there's a good reason for them. Now, I get that, but trans women are women, and it's fairly simple, and it's not that hard to understand. A lot of this has to do with Scottish laws, which normally wouldn't have much to do with J.K. Rowling. But since I'm mentioning it, you could probably guess where this is going. Because of her size and influence, J.K. has a pretty good pull on politics. J.K. has been campaigning as a TERF for a while, and more recently has been fighting against trans rights. In March of 2022, she protested against a trans bill wearing a t-shirt. Let me explain this in full. In March of 2022, a bill was put through by the Scottish government, making it easier for people to be legally recognized as their preferred gender. JKR, however, saw it as a threat to women and threatens the safety of women's only spaces. She bought and took a selfie with a shirt, stating that the First Minister, the one fighting for the bill, is a destroyer of women's rights. Funny enough, the bill didn't give any extra rights to trans people, nor did it diminish rights that women have, but JK still opposed it. JK says in this tweet,
"Multiple women's groups have presented well-sourced evidence to Nicola Sturgeon's government about the likely negative consequences of this legislation for women and girls, especially the most vulnerable. All has been ignored. If the legislation is passed and those consequences ensue as a result, the SNP government can't pretend that it wasn't warned."
It'd be nice if JK gave some sort of evidence to back this up, but sadly I can't seem to find any strong evidence to help back up her claim. Next I want to talk about her response to all of the hate she's been getting, and with all the research I've done, she doesn't seem remorseful about any of it, which kind of baffles me. But hey, I can't really say those who choose to stay ignorant are the smartest people. One thing I see is that she doesn't really care about the backlash, like for example this one tweet here, where she is asked how does she sleep at night knowing that she lost a whole audience from her book because of her transphobic actions, and she just says this.
"I read my most recent royalty checks and find the pain goes away very quickly. I'm J.K. Rowling. I write is a nonsense in a sentence and think that is how in fact people speak English."
Kinda greedy and self-fulfilling, but go off I guess. Doesn't make your character look any better. It makes you look vain and money hungry. Now more recently, this has not stopped, within a tweet of December of 2022 where she responds to someone who was praising her for her anti-trans call center saying "Happy TERF Miss." And for those of you who don't know, because I didn't for a long time, TERF means trans-exclusive radical feminists. Basically a feminist that excludes or leaves out trans people in their fight for equality. It's not a good thing to be, let me get that straight, and JKR is proud to be one. The response to her blatant transphobia has been tasty to say the least. Each of the stars of the Harry Potter films, the ones who played Harry, Ron, and Hermione, all spoke out against JKR, saying that they believe in trans rights. Harry's actor, Daniel Radcliffe, even worked with the Trevor Project before. Even Stephen King spoke out against her, saying that trans women are women in response to JKR's TERF tweet. One of her newer books, Troubled Blood, did not help her case in the slightest either, because the main takeaway of the book, stated by a Telegraph's news review, is to never trust a man in a dress. Which is fucking appalling, Jesus Christ. The book was about a detective hunting down a man who dressed up like a woman to kill women. With everything that she has been saying, even though the book came out in 2020, you could tell where her headspace was at, and Jesus. Lastly, before we move on to the wizard game, I want to talk about the scenario that happened on Twitter where JK straight up used her lawyers to scare someone talking bad about her. In this Twitter thread, we see a person say that they think that JK acts like a Nazi. To give their exact words, here's a tweet.
Well, 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 we meet at last. To think you were once an icon to me. I think you absolutely have views that align with Nazis. I think Fred also has views that align with Nazis. I think relying on tropes and stereotypes is very 1930s propaganda.
"Okie dokie, JJ. We'll play it your way. Give me my regards to your solicitor. Winky face."
With this, the person named JJ Wells later had to apologize for giving their opinion, most likely because JK threw her lawyers at them.
I would like to publicly apologize for a previous Twitter thread where I interacted with J.K. Rowling on matters relating to the transgender community. I have now removed these tweets and would like to apologize to J.K. Rowling directly for causing potential upset. I failed to choose my words with care and would like to retract my previous statements relating to her views on the LGBTQ+, and more, specifically transgender people. I would also like to retract my likening to J.K. Rowling to any far-right or Nazi organization and emphasize I do not wish any individual, inclusive of J.K. Rowling, to come to any harm.
Now, I want to say as a fact that JK most likely would have lost legal battle saying that this is defamation of some kind, or something like that, because JJ worded it as an I think, not an I know for a fact you do. He was stating an opinion. That is, if one of the parties was stationed in America. UK and Scottish laws make it a lot easier to win these kind of suits, even if the person who said the phrase was in the right. Or was just right. Sadly, for this case, JJ is stationed in England, while JK is stationed in Scotland. So JKR was able to censor a person using the law and their influence as a weapon. Now we move on to Hogwarts Legacy, and I want to say it has been a shit show online. It is a AAA video game developed by Avalanche Software, the same people who developed Attack and the Power of Juju games and a lot of Disney tie-in games. The game was released on February 10th on the new-gen consoles and planned to release on the previous-gen consoles later in the year. Leading up to the game, there was a lot of people who bought multiple copies of the game to stick it to the libs, or the haters, or trans people. It's a little fuzzy with there's a lot of different target demographics to this. Even before the game was released, there was a lot of people saying to boycott the game for trans rights, because of previous transphobia of the creator of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. I even asked my friend Doodletones what I should do because I wanted to make sure I was making the right choice. And once I was fully educated about what JK has done, the things she said, and all of that, I decided out of respect for the trans community as well as my trans friends, I would not be buying the game. My single purchase does not affect the entire internet, however, and the internet has been eating up Hogwarts Legacy content, being the most watched thing on Twitch for a few days at the time of writing the script. Now we get to another topic in this: harassment. And if you've been watching any kind of Hogwarts Legacy videos, I'm not going to be talking about the situations like Silvervale or Girlfriend Reviews situations, because situations like those have been covered to death already. Even some in the news articles that have heavily exaggerated the situation. I want to cover the harassment that trans streamers are getting since the release of Hogwarts Legacy. Since the release, there has been an uptick of harassment of trans and LGBTQ creators who use said tags on their Twitch streams, getting hate follows and hate raids recently since the game came out. Like this example by a Twitch streamer who goes by the name Calvinmore, with a name such as Endless Hate, haha you will burn in hell and become the 40% stat, which is in reference to the suicide rate of trans people. It is an infamous talking point about trans people, where some say it's because trans people are mentally unwell, while some others people say it's because trans people look down upon and mistreated so often that they think that is the only way out. These hate raids, as far as I've been able to find, have been happening more since the Funny Wizard game came out, making it bad actors come out in more droves lately. It's not entirely the game's fault, mind you. It is the community around it that's causing these issues, and those people being egged on by J.K. Rowling's beliefs. Now I'd like to play a clip from a video called Why I Hate Watching Isn't Real by Just a Robot. Yep, the guy who suggested I make my own commentary channel. The segment is to call out some of the most common talking points I see when it comes to the Funny Wizard game, and I think it would be a good video to debunk some things. Does this mean I think the video is bad or Jar is transphobic? No, far from it. You can watch another commentary video to get someone else's viewpoints on that and get that kind of opinion. I'm here only to talk about the segment of this video, not anything else. Play the clip.
But what about the new Harry Potter game? Is the other quote-unquote side of the political spectrum buying it and hate playing it? No, of course not. Their rules don't apply to them. It's obvious that a whole bunch of transphobes just bought the game because they hate trans people that much.
It's kind of strange that you're using such a hyperbolic argument in the beginning. I'm sure some minority of people most likely did that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if someone did. But again, the minority doesn't represent the majority, but let's get to his actual point.
I'm finna cheek this whole ass blunt if I feel like it.
Or maybe Just maybe, Harry Potter is a really popular IP that almost everyone knows about, and people have been waiting forever for a good Harry Potter game. If you want to see a really horrible video about this, check out Kunkin's Daster's video. It's just so god-awful. Just imagine putting someone's fucking trans allyship into question just because they bought a goddamn video game. How much do you really think you've done for trans rights because you didn't spend $60 on a video game?
Well, just because it's a popular IP doesn't mean it's something worth supporting. I mean, there's a lot of popular IP out there with scummy companies or people behind them, like with Overwatch. I stopped supporting Overwatch myself after the sexual harassment scandal. See my video here. It's because of my own moral compass that I do not play the game. Now, I'm not perfect. Before I was made aware of JK's transphobia, I watched the Harry Potter movies and bought the Lego game, but those decisions were made in ignorance of the facts. Now, I would like to say people have every right to question your allyship if you have bought the game, under the context that you knew JK's history beforehand. If you didn't, that's just a purchase you bought for nostalgia or the fandom, and I won't blame you for that. But if you bought it knowing the facts behind JKR, they have every right to question your allyship, just like you have the right to question mine. They are trying to make a point. They are trying to make an example of the game. That if you buy the game, knowing that JK makes money off the game, and is going to do things like I have stated earlier in the video, you're allowed to be questioned. It shows you are not willing to support them in this small way. Now, am I saying that someone is a bad person or not an ally if they play the game? No. I know people in real life who have played the game and are not transphobic. I even know a few trans people who have played the game. I'm not here to make the argument you are definitely not a trans ally if you play the funny wizard game, because that's not true, and I will get into that in a few minutes.
Oh no, I must be racist because I played Mario Odyssey, and there are Mexican stereotypes in that game. And Italian stereotypes in every Mario game. Oh no, I also use Twitter. I must be supporting Elon Musk. Oh no, I also have a Facebook and Instagram. I'm supporting My Sucks an Iceberg, and he made the metaverse and terrible cryptocurrencies. And he even let Russian bots onto Facebook. A few of you may say, oh come on Jar, that's whataboutism.
That's because it is, and these points can be debunked easily. When it comes to the Mexican stereotyping in Mario Odyssey, you'd be surprised that Mexican people actually like the inclusion. As you can see from the Super Mario Odyssey YMMV page, it is mostly Americans getting up in arms over this apparently racist representation. Also for the social media stuff, you know for a fact that social media is required for a modern day person, and people have spoken out on said platform against those who run it before. It's the argument of, you hate this society, yet you participated in it. I am very smart. However, the wizard game is optional. It is not required to play to function in modern day society. It is being used as a statement to show one's allyship, if they are aware of what JK has done. It is not a social media platform. Like, I don't support Elon Musk, but I use Twitter, because I need it for my business. I know a bunch of people who don't support Elon who still use Twitter for their business.
We have to have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you know what? I agree. People shouldn't be playing Mario games as well as Harry Potter games. But the thing is, the woman who wrote Harry Potter is already rich. She's probably getting an extremely small percentage for every game sold, if anything at all. I really didn't see the same level of uproar about Mario Odyssey as with Harry Potter. And let's be honest here, 90% of people who are complaining about this are just virtue signaling.
And that's all of Jar's video we're going to cover. And that's where you're wrong, Jar. She will make a good amount of money from the game, per game sold. Because with every game sold, she makes royalties. And that money adds up. And you could see from one of the previous tweets I showed you, which you can see on screen now, she does get a lot of royalty money, and that makes her happy. And she can use that money to fund anti-trans charities or her anti-trans call center. I'm going to throw some math at you right quick. For a book writer, they tend to get anywhere between 5 to 25% royalties per book sold, stated by scribemedia.com, depending on what kind of book it is, like hardcover or audiobook. We begin with these numbers and guesstimate how much JK would be getting from the purchases of the Funny Wizard game. The Funny Wizard game has sold 12 million copies at the time of scripting this, and has made $85 million in global sales revenue. We will use that number for our calculations. For our highest example, being 25%, in royalties, she would make $212,500,000. And if we go to the 5% marker, she still makes $42,500,000. And if we go to 1%, she would be making $8,500,000. That's not a minuscule amount to anyone, even if you're a millionaire, because even for billionaires, that's a good dent in their pocketbook. Some of you might say, oh, well, we want to support the developers, but the developers have already been paid for their work, and they won't make any additional money from the game selling well. In fact, it is more likely that they're going to be laid off to help raise the corporate profit numbers for the end of the quarter. Now that we're done with the math, I want to get to something I brought up earlier. The whole, I'm not here to make the argument of you're definitely not a trans ally if you play the funny wizard game thing. The situation, I believe, is a very nuanced one. A lot of it has to do with intention. If you bought the game to stick it to the trans people and the Twitter people, then of course you're not a trans ally. If you're buying multiple copies just to stick it to those who are trying to defend trans people, of course you're not an ally. I'm not here to change that or you. If you bought the game before you were made aware of JKR's wrongdoings, you were still an ally. You were just ignorant of what was going on, and no one can blame you for that. But if you were aware of JKR did and still bought the game, that's the big button issue. To me, it's nuanced, and in my own personal opinion, needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Because here's what I got from a trans friend of mine who bought the game. I wanted to ask, as a trans person, why did you buy a Hogwarts Legacy?
Oh, well, it's kinda simple. I grew up with Harry Potter movies, and my brother grew up with them in the books. It's actually one of the few things I can connect with him on, especially since we don't have a lot in common. Never really had HP tied through JK, but rather Universal Studios. To me, it was just another thing made by them. Despite everything with JK, I don't really tie Harry Potter to her, sort of separating the author from the material. That, and I like to think the Harry Potter community is far bigger than the author to begin with. There are members who are part of the LGBTQ+ community that are still Harry Potter fans. I think ever since the damage JK has done, it's pretty much divided the community to an extent. Now with Hogwarts Legacy, I feel that divide is even stronger than it was before. While some of the hate is coming from non-Harry Potter fans, I still feel some of the anger or frustration is coming from inside the community as well. For me, I was looking forward to this game around its first trailer. I was skeptical, but it had been so long since HP had any game titles to a home console. I wasn't immediately going to boycott this game after its beta release, especially when the developers likely just wanted to make a fun and interesting game. Hell, there's a chance one or more of those developers is a fan of Harry Potter too. So for me, I honestly just try to separate anything JK has done with Harry Potter, but rather tie the series to more positive things, like building a community of strong and wonderful people, and a way for artists to practice and show their works. I'm not a die-hard fan by any means, but I am a person who loves things fantasy and or magic based. Get out of character? Same though? With Legacy, I've been having fun exploring the maps, collecting resources for potions, and I'm looking forward to rescuing and raising mythical creatures. I look at this game as a means to enjoy something new, while also getting a break from more stressful situations in my life right now.
Finally, I will just echo what my friend Doodletone said, who had an amazing video on the topic, and I suggest you watch it when you get a chance. Play the clip.
And if you want my honest and personal stance, while I don't think everyone who buys Hogwarts Legacy is inherently transphobic, I'm a part of a speedrunning community of Harry Potter fans that have previously raised money for the Trevor Project in response to Rowling transphobia as an example. I would say they're allies, but I will also say those who buy Legacy might not be as strong of an ally as they might proclaim themselves to be, and it is a little disappointing, all things being said, but we'll talk more about that later.
Please again watch Doodle's video. It's a really good one and it covers the topic well. But as an ally myself, as one who is not aware of what was going on in the Harry Potter world, I want to make sure that people are aware of what's going on. I want to help people make educated purchases and learn where their content comes from before they make a purchase. I also made this video to help support my trans friends and let them know that my fanbase is a safe place for everyone under the LGBTQ spectrum. And just because someone bought the game, unless they had the intent to buy it with malicious intent, is not someone who is transphobic. Every case is nuanced and should be looked at in such a way, whether they are your brother, your friend, your favorite streamer, or what have you. Each case is different and needs to be looked at individually. Some people might be ignorant of the facts, some may just not care, some might be doing it to enjoy the funny wizard game, not caring for the political part of it. But I'm not the one who's going to tell you that you are or not an ally or transphobic. If you or your actions are transphobic, nor am I going to be the one who's going to force you to buy the funny wizard game or not. I'm just here to give my opinion, and this is my opinion. If you buy the game with malicious intent, it is obvious you are acting transphobic and reactionary, and you can't call yourself an ally. If you bought the game knowing about the controversy, you're allowed to be questioned, but I personally still think you could be an ally, as not a trans person myself, but you might not be seen as an ally by other people. It is again nuanced. Overall, in my opinion, it is on a case-by-case basis, and that's what I think. Plus, I don't need Harry Potter. I'm working on my own wizard book called Ashen's Call anyway. I'll keep you updated on that. Now, since we're done with the video, let's move on to the fan art feature. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention the anti-Semitism correlations in the game? Alright, time for the fan art feature. Time to sit up in the chair. First up, we got one from Ace on Discord. This is an old piece. This is one of me and Ponder protecting Ace. I don't know if that's their avatar anymore or not. This is one of the older pieces that got chosen by the randomizer. But this is a very beautiful piece. I love how me and Ponder look in the picture. I love the detail. I love how you drew the buttons on my peacoat. And I love how you drew Fiend's little arms behind Ponder. You did an amazing job. Thank you so much for this, Ace. Up next is one by Anime Lover on Discord, and I very much love this simplistic style with the little, like, stick hands. And also, just, like, look at the fold of my hair. It's very cute. It's very wonderfully done, and you did a great job. Thank you so much for this, Anime Lover. Up next is my current Twitter profile picture, which is done by Colin, or Redbolt, on Discord. I made sure to pay them for this so that I could use this picture whenever I need to. So I basically acted as like a secondary commission because I loved it so much. It's very nicely done. Thank you so much for this. And it finally reached a fan art feature. Isn't that lovely? About time, am I right? Alright, thank you so much for this. Up next is Cryptid Stone 2021. Oof. By, it's not showing me the name. 1 second. By Mod the Artifacts on Discord. Wonderful artwork, by the way. It is amazing. I love the cryptid art style. I love the raggedy clothes. I love the smile. Jesus Christ, that smile. It's amazing. And you did an amazing job drawing it. It is a wonderful piece. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you so much for watching as well. Up next is one from GodsDemon123 on Instagram. Objective! I think that's supposed to be objective. Objective! I must find the objective. But it is a very wonderful piece. It is also good to have God's Demon in this art piece. They always show up at some point or another. But this is an older piece, but it's a really good one. Thank you so much for drawing this. Up next is from Green Machine on Discord, and they drew me as a teddy bear. I am a teddy bear. I'm very happy to be a teddy bear. But this is a wonderful little piece. I love the little pop ads on the feet in the little scarf. You know, like the detail on the fur. You did great. Thank you so much for this. Up next is a video by Jackyson on Discord, and they made this beautiful little thing of my outro, and it is very wonderfully done, very beautiful. Love the colors. Love how they did the Earthbound thing better than I did, which is funny. Like, they did so much better. I'm jealous that this is not my outro, but this is a very well done piece. Thank you so much for this, Jackyson. I'm trying to pronounce your name right. I'm sorry if I mess it up. Up next is from Jane on Discord, and they drew this picture of darkness. They did a wonderful job with this. I love the simplistic style. I love how you did the eyes, and I love how you did the shading with the hair. The scarf looks nice. I love how you like incorporated it into like a tie. It looks very good. Thank you so much for this. Up next is Kaito Stone by Scarlet Rosalia. This is from an old piece, but this is the individual stone part of it. They drew me as Kaito from Vocaloid, and I think it came out really, really good. I love the shading. I love how my character looks in the outfit. I love all of it. I even got painted nails, which is awesome. But this is really cool. Thank you so much for this, Scarlet Rosalia. Up next is from Sin-ister Studios on Discord, and it's a baby stone. It's a baby. I'm a baby. I'm a baby. But this is a very cute little baby stone hugging a little Monokuma. plushie. That is really cute. But this is a really cute picture. You did an amazing job with this. Thank you so much for this, Sin-ister. And lastly, we got one from Stroppy on Twitter. And they drew this as a response to a thing that was like, redesign my character on Twitter. And they drew this wonderful piece of art, and Jesus Christ, it is cool. I love the goggles. I love how the scarf is just lifting me up. It is I love how it's not like a peacoat, but it's kind of like a dress shirt. It's really wonderful looking. And the perspective is really nice too. You did an amazing job on this. Well guys, that's the end of this video. I want to let you guys know that the kidney transplant went well. Me and my mom are both recovering just fine. And we're doing great. But I just wanted to give you guys that small update before the video ends. I would like to thank all of the wonderful people who voice acted in this little project of mine. Make sure to check them out in the description. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya! Enjoy.